All right, everybody, this is Alex coming to you from Rovali's Ristorante Italiano on a historic 25th Street in Ogden, Utah. Guess what? We have a special guest with us today. This is Cameron, and he has come to us to show why he's one of our, what do you call yourself?
A wine and spirits broker.
He is a wine and spirits broker. As you know, if you guys have heard me before, you know that I'm very, very, very uber particular about my wines that we serve here at Rovali's. Well, Cameron has come, and he's one of our new brokers, and he's quickly becoming ingratiated in our hearts because he knows so much. He's so talented. He's so well versed, and I want him to kind of explain to you what he's bringing to Rovali's so that you understand that what we bring to you is the very, very best, okay? So I'm going to turn it over to Cameron and let him introduce himself. Here we go. Hold on. Cameron, so this is Cameron. Introduce yourself to everybody. Tell us who you are, where you come from, and what you do.
Hello, Ogden. Cameron Mercer. I'm a wine and spirits broker. My background, I'm a certified sommelier with the Quartermasters. I was a sommelier for 4 years at the Ritz-Carlton in Naples, Florida. Went into distribution in 2001. Worked for 2 different importers over the years, did national sales, traveled the world talking about wines and spirits, which led me to here. So this is my destination here at Rovali's. So very happy to be here. Alex has been great. He's been a great host. They've also brought in my products from the get-go, just based on name and background of the wineries being family owned. And this is where we converge as a broker and a restaurant, a seller and a buyer. They're completely family-owned, family-run, operated, which I'm envious of because that's a great model to go from. So we sort of work hand in hand in what we're doing, same vision. So what I'm bringing to the table now, literally and figuratively to the table, are Italian wines that are family-owned, mostly from Piedmont, Barolo, Dolcetto, and Barbera di Alba. So these wines, again, are family-owned, small producers, sustainable farming techniques, and a rich history, multi-generations producing these wines. Smaller production, handcrafted, exactly like the food here at Rovali's. So Ogden, look out. You're going to have great wines to look forward to. Not only wines, but spirits as well. Items that integrate nicely in the theme of Italian, but also we brought on the horizon with more international flair that will lend itself to great cocktails, sort of spins on things that are familiar, but also will challenge you and take you to the next level of your dining experience.
See, and that's fantastic because, well, one thing that I would like you to tell our viewers, Cameron, is the stuff that you're bringing to us today to recommend. How did you come to those conclusions for Rovali's in particular?
Again, from your philosophy, we've seen a convergence in what we're doing, the passion behind what we're doing. The importers that I work with deal specifically with family-owned and smaller operations. So you're looking at a quality perspective, wholesome, organic farming. That all goes to the bottom line in the flavor profile, and so that's why I brought these ideas to you after having tasted your food. Just very wholesome, very genuine flavors, and what you're trying to do. So that's I think a good marriage there.
Okay, and so what are some of the wines that you're recommending to us today?
Okay, Greco de Tufo is a wine very unique. I compare it to a Chablis from France, but at half the price point. Earth-driven, but wonderful melon flavors, but you get an earthiness and minerality that helps balance the profile from ripe fruit flavors, no oak in these, but good minerality from the earth, so it's brighter, fresher, and that goes along with your foods. Also, there's actually a local wine called Old Town Cellars. It's a white blend. They actually source the grapes from the Umpqua Valley in Oregon. So you have Gruner Veltliner, which is an Austrian grape grown in Oregon, Viognier, and also Riesling. They blend it together here in Utah, and so it's actual local wine, but straight from the vineyards of Oregon, which is a great thing. Barbera di Alba. Barbera is a beautiful, ripe, red, very fresh fruit driven grape type, and depending on what type of oak you use, in this particular case, the Mora producer uses larger neutral oak, which means it's not going to imbue it too much with oak. It's going to have that essence of really nice, fresh fruit flavors. So ripe, round, but good acidity. You're going to love that wine. We also looked at a Dolcetto, and Dolcetto is known as a very fresh and racy grape. So if, let's say you've had a younger, less ripe raspberry, that's the flavor profile that's going to have. It has good tannin structure, but rounded tannins and mature tannins that can lend itself to many different dishes. The one that we had it with back in the day was a sausage with marinara and beautiful aged cheese. So it's quite nice.
Excellent. Now, you also mentioned you were bringing, introducing some spirits to us.
Yes.
Can you talk a little bit about that, please?
Sure. Well, cachaça is actually Brazilian rum, if you will. And what's interesting about cachaça is there's only 8 producers of cachaça that are available in the United States, but there's 5,000 licensed cachaça distilleries in Brazil. So what is known in Brazil as their national drink is relatively unknown in the United States and in Utah. But this called Avois, it's on the shelves. Avois is a third generation family producing organic sugarcane. The sugarcane is processed within 3 hours, and that goes to the bottom line of the flavor profile, because if you let it sit after cutting sugarcane, it starts to have some secondary and tertiary elements that are off-putting. But within 3 hours, they're fermenting, and then it goes into copper pot stills, and then ladies out there, it's a female distiller, which is kind of cool. So the end product, I would compare to white rum, but very high-end, very nice flavor white rum. So this, we're thinking about calling it, what are we calling it again?
The Brazilian Martini.
The Brazilian Martini.
It's going to be fantastic,
Yeah.
and especially when we drop a lychee into it.
Yes.
Now, you also introduced it to a new tequila that we hadn't even seen or heard of before. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Okay, so along the lines of what we're doing either in the vineyard or in the agave fields, this one is called Don Abraham, and it's been in the state for about 6 weeks now. It's an organic producer. He has 1 stone oven, and he's a very small operation, so he slow roasts the agave. There's 2 spirits that we're thinking about for Rovali's, and that is a reposado and an añejo. Basically, the slow roasting captures some beautiful, sweeter, fruitier elements of the agave, and you might have some smoky character in the añejo, but with the reposado, it's fresher, brighter, fruity. So that's going to lend itself to a really cool drink. And what are we going to do with that?
I think we're going to do an Italian margarita with that one.
Italian margarita.
That's right.
There you go.
That's
so
right.
Once again, lending itself to the motif here. So those are 2 great spirits, and the price points are very approachable for, and they're certified organic, which is kind of cool.
With that, and that's really good.
Yeah.
Now, I reiterated to you, Cameron, how important that whether it's wine or spirits or whatever it is that we bring into Rovali's, that it is it pairs with our food quite nicely because of our unique flavors. And I know you sell your wines and spirits all around the state, but what I want to ask from you is your thoughts on how you came to, based on my qualifications for our flavors here at Rovali's, being unique and being one of a kind, that kind of a thing. Your thoughts were on what you were recommending, just kind of the process, not necessarily the products that you were recommending, but the process that you went through to recommend those products.
Well, coming from a sommelier background, I know both sides of the story. So I look for wines that are unique, but also are balanced. Will have ripe forward fruit, but will be balanced with acidity, enough tannin to give it structure, but also something that it has a familiar profile. And I think that at Rovali's in Ogden, that is what we're going for, is something familiar to you, but at the same time gives you an experience and puts you on an adventure. So in these particular wines, I'm working with an importer called Mercer, and we actually 6 years ago went to an international trade show of imported wines and looked for wines that would be restaurant friendly. So that sort of divests itself from, let's say, more industrial type wines to more unique, smaller, family owned, as we mentioned previously today. So we went to Florida for this importer meeting and tasted through hundreds of different wines and looked for wines that were outside of the category. So if it's a Pinot Grigio, it's just not a light, fresh, easy drinker. It's smaller production, under 2 tons per acre, which is getting pretty geeky when we're talking about wine. But they let it sit on the skins for an extended period, and it becomes almost what they call an orange wine. It gives it an orange color, but also adds a little verve to the profile of the wine. And it also lends itself to ageability. So the Pinot Grigio that I'm recommending is from 2013. It's not 2016-17. And a late release, it's only seen some stainless steel and then it goes into your mouth. So it's not crisp and fresh and just that. It offers a different experience. So I think that's something that Alex and I saw eye to eye, and Kim as well. So
absolutely. Now I have one final question for
Yes.
you. So based on your experience, where you come from, you've traveled the world, you've done all these things. Tell me what your goal is for the state of Utah. What you want to bring to Utah as far as wines go, and whether it's education, whether it's taste. What do you want to bring personally?
I think the best of all worlds is the wines sell themselves. And so my selection of wines are concise, like your wine list. They're very concise, but quality orientation, that's very important. Coming to the market with family-owned products really helps to sort of narrow that field, because there's a control aspect of that quality and what they're doing in the vineyards. So it's kind of a holistic approach, but also I like to have fun and I like to drink what I like to drink, and I think you guys that reverberates with everybody. We want something that tastes good, that's authentic, and maybe we haven't had that flavor profile. If it's a cocktail, if it's a daiquiri, there's a million daiquiris. There's really bad ones, there's really good ones, but are there distinctive versions of that? So the products that I bring in, that is also a goal, but also it's to have fun and to have something that I love and hopefully have a second glass.
All right, well, thank you.